9 people waiting. Hang on, I'm just waiting for it to go live on the other side so I can mute it. We are live now though, but give me 2 seconds. Okay. All right, we're good. All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me on my regular Wednesday night live stream. Today I have Bernard Gaynor. He's been all over the headlines for many different reasons. Hello, Mr. Gaynor. How are you?
Good evening, Dia. I'm not too bad. Yourself?
I'm really well. I'm really pleased to have you on. I've appreciated the time that you've given me. It's been very generous of you. Also, you're a father of 8 children, so maybe you appreciate, the hour off.
They keep me pretty busy, but I'll be heading home after this. Yeah.
After this?
Yes.
Fair enough. Well, I think the thing that brought you to fame, at least under my own, for me, was that you went on. Basically, you're perceived by many as a homophobe. Something that I've been called myself. Shoot us for having morals that come from something greater than ourselves. The articles read things like far right campaigner Bernard Gaynor fails to overturn dismissal for army, Iraq war veteran turned reservist sacked from Australian Defence Force after saying he did not want gay people teaching his children. Is that even accurate? Like, is that worded correctly? Like, or are they just exaggerating? Because I certainly wouldn't have a problem with gay people teaching my kids if they were teaching them maths, but if they were teaching gay kids to be gay, then I'd be like, peace off. Like, so do you want to unpack?
Sure. Well, I did say I wouldn't let homosexuals teach my kids, and I
did
said
say that? Okay.
What about? Because I want my children to have a good Catholic upbringing.
Okay.
And homosexual teachers don't enter into that picture. Now, other people might disagree with that view. Other people might agree with it. At the end of the day, it's a decision my wife and I make, and I don't think it's really appropriate that the state or government departments or big business start sacking people because of the way they want to raise their children. That's unacceptable. But that, unfortunately, is the state we live in today.
That's surprising to me. Excuse me, everyone watching at home. I have really croaky throat, so I'm going to be croaking a lot. I apologize. To me, Melbourne, where I am, I'm in Victoria, is definitely a commie state where that is the case. I didn't think it had reached Queensland. I thought Queensland was the most conservative state. Do you want to sort of give us some details about your state?
Well, Queensland really didn't have anything to do with it. It was the Australian Defence Force, which is a Commonwealth organisation, obviously.
Yes.
But this problem is in every bureaucracy at the states, in the territories, in the Commonwealth, in government departments, and in big business. So it's not a problem that is faced only by Victoria. It's a problem faced by Conservatives anywhere they live in Australia.
For the ADF, you mean?
Well, this idea that you can sack somebody because they're homophobic, which really means that you can sack someone because you disagree with their morality.
That's sort of almost what happened to me. Almost. It's like our stories are quite parallel.
Yeah. So, well, look. So to cut a long story short, the reason
yeah, go ahead.
Was because the Chief of Defence Force decided that my behaviour was no longer in the interests of the Australian Defence Force. And I won a court case in the federal court to say that he couldn't do that. He couldn't sack me for those reasons. The implied freedom of political communication under the Constitution prevented that sacking, but then Defence appealed, and they won the appeal in the federal court, and the High Court refused to grant leave to hear an appeal to that. But if you unpack it a little bit more, Defence threw the book at me before I was sacked. I was charged with 12 military offences. I was subject to 2 high-level unacceptable behaviour complaints. And the really interesting thing is that every charge ended up being thrown out. The unacceptable behaviour complaint was thrown out. Defence can't point to a single thing that I did wrong. All its internal investigations cleared me, yet the Defence Force sacked me. The Chief of Defence Force did. That's the current Governor General, David Hurley. The process was started by David Morrison, who became Australian of the Year, I think, in 2017. He's famous for wearing high heels and for stating that while he was Chief of Army, he'd read more books on feminism than most men would read in 3 or 4 lifetimes. That was the Chief of Army. So the hierarchy of the Defence Force has become very politically correct, and it starts at very junior officer level. So from the rank of Major onwards, you are watched, everything you do. You won't go on promotion courses. You won't receive good postings if you're deemed to be politically incorrect. So from the age of 28, 29, officers are taught to, despite what the Defence Force says, they're taught to avoid moral courage rather than to display moral courage.
That's ridiculous. I'm so sorry to hear that. So everything was thrown out. They obviously know you're an upstanding person, and it seems like what's dominating the world today is virtue signaling and trying to come across as the world's version of good rather than the biblical version of the word, which is far more objective. Would you agree with that?
Well, look, we live in a state of anarchy where those who are in positions of authority can make decisions to sack people based on nothing more than a whim. I mean, if you look at what the real argument was, it was about whether the Defence Force should march in the Mardi Gras. Now, Defence has a policy, and it had a policy at the time, which said uniformed personnel could not attend events of a political nature. They could not wear their uniform to those type of events. That is still the policy. Now, the constitution of the Mardi Gras states that it's a political event. You've got the Greens marching, you've got the Labor Party marching, you've got the LGBT brigade of the Liberal Party marching, you've got a whole bunch of lobby groups such as Australian Marriage Equality and all these other protest groups marching. They describe the parade as a protest against a number of government policies, and now the Defence Force is marching down the street in uniform with people who are protesting against the government.
I don't buy that. I don't buy that. It was a march to celebrate your gayness. That's all it was. Maybe we should do a straight parade. If you want to do one, we'll organise one. I'll come up and everything. I'll be a speaker. You can be a speaker. You know, we'll walk the streets of Brisbane. I don't know.
No, I don't think we need to have a parade to celebrate our sexuality. I think the whole concept is ridiculous. But the Mardi Gras is a political parade. It states it's in its constitution that it's political. And the Defence Force broke its own policies. It still breaks its own policies every year to march in that event. And it sacked me for pointing out that it was doing the wrong thing.
Okay, well, that's infuriating. I feel like it's funny because I wrote a Facebook post several months ago where I said Christians, and you know, I mean, I'm not going to lie, I don't always involve Catholics in that, but I do agree that Catholics are in the banner of Christianity. And I wrote, Christians, we have stuffed up. Like throughout our past, we've put so much emphasis on homosexuality, like that is more disgusting than other sins. You're right. No, that's okay. You're clear though. And I wrote this big post saying, you know, we've made mistakes and all that kind of stuff. And the reason I raise this point now is because I'm trying to demonstrate to people that just because you disagree with someone's lifestyle, it doesn't mean you hate them on an individual level. You can disagree with a group and its collective. The left hates Christianity. They're allowed to hate Christianity. They're allowed to hate Christians. Yet when we hate on something morally, collectively, it doesn't mean we're going to treat a person individually like garbage the way the left does. Do you note those? Do you note those standards, and how do you like deal with it as a public figure?
Well, I don't know how public a figure I am, but look, Christianity in the Western world is facing a serious crisis today, and I think it comes from two sources. One is you could call the world. The world is at war with Christianity. It wants to destroy it. It wants to see it eradicated from the planet. And then there's another attack on Christianity, which is coming from within. So that is church
Liberalism.
leaders.
Oh, sorry, keep going. I said liberalism, but keep going.
Yes, church leaders who I think have abandoned the faith. They still wear the robes. They still hold the positions, but they don't actually teach Christian faith anymore.
No.
Without getting into a theological discussion about Catholicism and the other.
Hey, let's go for it.
Well, we can one day.
Yeah.
If I look at my church, the Catholic Church, you've got, for instance, in Australia at the moment, a plenary council, which is going to be held later this year, which is pushing for ideas that have never, ever been accepted by the Catholic Church, but instead have been completely rejected. So ideas such as same-sex marriage, ideas such as divorce, ideas
Abortion,
about the Mass and the sacraments, ideas about female priests. These ideas have never, ever been accepted by the church. In fact, they've been rejected by the church since the very beginning. And now in the year 2020, all of a sudden, there appears to be some hierarchy within the church in Australia who want to go on a radical revolutionary path. And I think that's internal white-handing of the faith is enabling the secular world to prosecute a war on Christianity.
Excuse me. I would agree. It's absolutely a war on Christianity, and it's happening. Oh, sorry. It's happening within the church. It's happening Protestants with Protestants, Catholics, and yeah, it's really quite. Sorry, guys, I'm not crying. But yeah, it's quite it's disheartening, and that's the role of the left. That's the role of the Marxists. That's exactly what their role is, and that's exactly what they're achieving. And so it's people like us who have to speak out. And so when someone like yourself makes a comment about homosexuality, you're not saying I want all gay people dead. You're saying simply I don't want my children to be taught by gay people. I kind of disagree with you. I think like I wouldn't want my children going to drag queen story time when they have names like, you know, Rim, disgusting names like that. I wouldn't want my children being exposed to that, just like I wouldn't want them being exposed to prostitute story time or whatever the hell else they want to create. A gay teacher, however, I think if they stick to subject, I don't think I'd care as much. Maybe if they were teenagers, but perhaps when they're really little, I wouldn't want them being taught by gay people. I don't really know. I haven't really thought about it. I don't have kids. But I think you have a right to raise your kids like that. Sorry?
The key point, Dia, is that was a statement I made about how my family wishes to raise our children.
Your family. So why does anyone else care?
Exactly. And I'll also defend my parental rights, and I have. It's cost a lot. But yeah, it's just disgraceful that, well, because when you think about taking disciplinary action for a statement like that, essentially what the Defence Force is doing is saying that they have more right to determine how my children are raised than I do. And that is unacceptable. I do not accept that.
No, I agree with you. And that's the issue we have. Parents are losing their rights more and more, and children are gaining their rights. So if a child says, Mummy, Daddy, and he's a boy, and he says, Mummy, Daddy, I want to dress in the dress, and you don't, accept his delusion, you are the abuser as the parent. That's the logic of the world today. Like, the hell? How are we supposed to raise a good moral child if the world is going to get in your business? It's ridiculous.
Yes, well, I think I wrote an article during the marriage campaign, and it was looking into the future. I made the point that one day we could see governments. I'm not saying this is going to happen tomorrow or next week or 10 years. I don't know, but it could very well happen that the government decides that it's actually responsible for raising children and not the parent. And essentially all these
Halfway there, dude.
all these processes, steps along the way are getting to the point where the state will say it's responsible for raising children. And that's a very scary thing.
It is. That's horrible. And that is, I feel like we're halfway there anyway. When I was really little, parents were allowed to smack their kids. I was smacked. But by today's standard, my tiny little Colombian mother would probably be thrown in prison for smacking me. I don't know. But like, that's just how far we've progressed into madness. I think you should hit your kids. I mean, I don't know about you. You're white Australians don't hit their kids, I don't think. But ethnic parents do. They hit their kids and they come out nice and good. But yeah. But what do you feel like you were targeted by the gays, or do you feel like you were targeted by politically correct culture?
Oh, well, I think they both go hand in hand. So I know I was targeted by the LGBT lobby within the Defence Force. I've got emails through FOI where LGBT activists are demanding for me to be sacked. They're sending emails to senior officers, calling for me to be sacked, asking when I'm going to be disciplined. They're putting complaints in against me. One of the complainants was Malcolm McGregor, now Catherine McGregor, who promotes himself as the most senior transgender officer in the world. So the LGBT lobby were pushing very hard to have me sacked. Incidentally, with McGregor, the Defence Force ended up paying $25,000 for the abuse McGregor made public of my father. So Defence Force paid $25,000 for that abuse, which ended up going onto the court cases. But McGregor got promoted. Every investigation cleared me and I got sacked. So that just doesn't make sense. And it's because the politically correct culture, that's very much there. So you look, David Hurley calls himself a Christian. It's quite interesting. Shortly after I was sacked, David Hurley was at a conference for Christians talking about moral courage of all things, which I found quite ironic, I suppose. But the truth is, what David Hurley calls himself, he was the chief of the Defence Force who permitted uniformed attendance at the Mardi Gras, a political events, and he did it because he did not have the courage to say no. He just did not have the courage to say no. So you've got these two elements working together. The LGBT lobby, which, I mean, you've got to hand it to them. They take no prisoners. They know what they want and they take no prisoners. But the hierarchy, just the normal average person in a senior position within government bureaucracy or in politics or in business, has lost the courage to say no. And it's because they're afraid they're going to be called bigots. They're afraid they're going to get negative headlines. So all of this is being enabled by cowardice, I would say.
Would you say that you don't care what people call you?
I don't really care what people call me. People call me all sorts of things.
Well, you're a homophobe, you're a bigot, but I'm both those things too.
Well, I don't care what they call me.
Apparently.
What I'm interested in is a society where people can express their views. If they want to express views using insult and derision and derogatory terms, then that says more about them than what it says about me. But you can't have reasoned debate if you try and shut the insult and derision down. But
try to shut the source down. Try to shut the source down just to take it all, just to get rid of it altogether.
Well, they don't want any debate at all, which is why why these people resort to name calling, because that's all they've got. They don't have an argument. Their argument is, "I hate you." That's their argument.
Yeah, but we're not allowed to express a similar level. It's not even hate what we have. We just don't like certain things that we deem immoral. So saying, "Oh, I find that immoral. I don't want to partake in it. I don't want my children to partake in it," just in their mind is I want gay people dead. It must be. It must equal that to their stupid brains because somehow they're allowed to hate us. We're not allowed to
I don't know if it equates that in their brains. I think.
Well, it must. Why react so stupidly to something?
I think I think it equates to something much less in their minds.
What do you think it is? Tell me.
Well, I think it just equates to that they recognise that I don't endorse their lifestyle, and they cannot handle criticism of their personal morality. And I think it's because at the end of the day, subconsciously, their conscience is eating away at them.
Yeah, it must be.
And they're desperate for public affirmation because they can't get peace internally and within their conscience because
it's the spiritual carnal inside. That's something that we can't help them with. All we can do is pray for them and hope that they come to sense. Sorry, the Versace Cowboy has an interesting statement here. LGBT plus lobby is 2 years away from pushing the agenda of pedophilia being a recognized sexual orientation rather than a crime. By the way, Versace Cowboy, you should probably know that in the United States, they changed the definition of pedophilia some time ago, and it is already deemed a sexual orientation. I don't know about Australia, though. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think he's right?
Well, look, there are people who want the age of consent lowered, and you look at these things like Drag Queen Storytime, groups like -18 are promoting sexual activity and sexual ideas to people who are under 18, to minors, to children, and I'm very concerned about it.
Same.
I mean, one thing I find interesting, if you look at the arguments for same-sex marriage during the debate, it was love is love, all love should be accepted. Now, if you accept that argument,
and I should be able to marry a donkey.
No, well, so the point I'm going to make is that all the arguments that were put forward for same-sex marriage are the same arguments that we put forward for acceptance of pedophilia. You know, the idea that anyone who consents should be accepted, all types of sexual activity should be accepted. All these ideas, if you follow them to their logical conclusion, you have to accept pedophilia. There's no getting away from that.
The left would say that the difference is a child doesn't understand consent and an adult does. That would be their argument.
Well, some people would say that a child doesn't consent, but they would say, but at the age of 14 they consent, or at the age of 12 they can consent. So there are
fluctuates.
Well, prominent LGBT activists in the UK, for instance, have been pushing for the age of consent to be lowered. Well, like Peter Tatchell, or Tatchell, I think his name is, he was pushing for the age of consent to be lowered to 14, I think, at one stage. And he was arguing that, yes, but they should only be, within 2 years. So 14 to 16-year-olds can have sex, for instance.
With what, a 65-year-old man, if need be?
No, he was saying within 2 years. So
literally within 2. Okay.
But that's still
not a good idea.
Promoting sexual activity to children, and it's contrary to right reason and morality and the natural law. I mean, if you want to get down to the nuts and bolts of this, sexual activity is for married couples because it results in children, and married couples are the best people to raise those children. And if you're going to abandon the children or not be responsible for children, then it's pretty simple. You should not be involved in sexual activity. At the end of the day, that's the natural law understanding of sexual morality.
I came out not too long ago as a virgin, and on my channel, like a couple of months ago, I think the easiest way to avoid having children, the easiest way to prevent yourself from getting mixed up in being promiscuous is to not have sex. Not that hard. And it's funny because today that particular moral, that value is absolutely laughed at. Like, it was funny too because the left had said in all of the Facebook leftist pages had said, "Oh, Dia has had sex with Avi Yemeni and with Neil Erickson and with Blair Cottrell, and was having a good time without even realizing it." But yeah, I hadn't done anything, and it's ridiculous. It's really funny to me. And then as soon as I came out, it was crickets. Like, or like, oh, like you would think that they would have said, "Oh, she's lying about it," or "That's not true," but they didn't. They knew that I was genuine in that. Like, why would I lie about that? Yeah. So, is this something that you talk about? I haven't researched everything about your particular stances, but do you also talk about abstinence? Do you talk about that kind of stuff? Or not
Look, I haven't really written too much about this particular topic.
Okay, I'm just curious.
No, but look, I take my Catholic faith very seriously, and at the end of the day, if you're defending marriage, these are the type of things that you're defending. So, I have said it publicly, and I defend this position. Marriage, sexual activity is for married people, and it's because sexual activity can result in children. And this is a controversial statement.
Go ahead, please.
The whole concept of contraception is actually quite an interesting concept. I think it's quite immoral, but in one sense, a society that believes in contraception is inevitably going to be a society that accepts homosexual marriage, because a marriage that contracepts is basically exactly the same as a homosexual marriage. Now, that's a very controversial statement, and I think a lot of people disagree with it, but
I would say so.
There's no difference, really.
Yeah. Well, look, hats off to you for saying something. It's really funny because a lot of people congratulate people today. Taylor Swift is a fantastic example. She's a young, pretty thing, and she's being admired for being so courageous and advocating for her gay friends and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, how is that brave when everyone is on her side?
So who's that?
Taylor Swift, the singer.
Okay, yep.
So someone like yourself, someone like myself, someone like those of us who are sort of buried by leftism, what we do, and I don't mean to tickets on ourselves, but what we do is far braver because our reputations, our livelihoods are at stake, and people hate on you simply for saying, I don't believe gays should be able to get married, or I don't believe gays should be teaching my kids, or whatever it is. That's a lot more difficult. I don't think it's nice to discriminate against anyone, but I do certainly think I'm a polite person to anyone. I'll be a polite person to a lefty. I'll be a polite person to a Muslim, to a gay person, but that doesn't mean on a collective level I agree with their sin. How do they not get that? Do you think that it is far more courageous today to say what we say as opposed to, hey, everyone, let's have sex, or whatever it is?
Look, I think there is an element of bravery that people have to display to express conservative views on things like marriage and family, because you can lose your job. We've had banks
which we've both lost.
Banks have threatened to shut my bank accounts down. I've been dragged into court. I'll be back in court in February on the 24th. I've had 37 complaints put against me now under the Anti-Discrimination Act. And it's not just me. There's lots and lots of people in Australia. Photographers are losing their businesses. People are being forced off boards of companies.
For an opinion.
For an opinion that is philosophically and morally justifiable, that has been the backbone of Western civilization. What we're seeing is that the latest novelty and fad is being used to it's destroying society.
It is. Here's a good question by my friend Jason Bernard. Are you of the opinion that pulling out or the rhythm method are wrong? So like people who, you know what that means. What's your response?
Well, look, I'm just going to say this, and this is Catholic teaching, and this is the teaching of the church, which I accept. sexual activity is for married couples. And it's because a married couple can start a family and raise children. And if you are engaging in sexual activity without any intention to have children, then you're undermining the fundamental purpose of that activity. Now, if I put it this way, when we breathe, we enjoy breathing, okay? But the enjoyment, we don't breathe because we enjoy it. We get the enjoyment because breathing is essential for life. And when we eat, we enjoy it, but we don't eat to enjoy it. We eat to feed our body. And the same thing with sexual activity. God has made us this way. Sexual activity is enjoyable for married couples, but the purpose of sexual activity is not the enjoyment. It is procreation and raising children in a stable, married family environment.
Absolutely. Excuse me. I just want to ask you about the right in general now. Do you think that, generally speaking, we should stop attacking each other, and that we should, whether we agree with people or not, we should try and be kinder to each other, try to unite the right a little bit more? Or do you think that that's never going to happen?
Well, it depends what you're saying we should be uniting around. I think that
on whatever unites us.
Well,
Hatred for the left? No, just kidding. No, I was kidding.
The things we should be united on things that we are promoting, and those things would start with a stable family environment, because you can't have a state without stable families. And from there, we should be promoting a state that respects family units, that protects family units, that has the right set of policies to enable our nation to prosper, to defend itself. They're the type of things we should be uniting around. I don't know whether we should be uniting around individual figures or anything like that. And they're the things that I'm happy to promote.
Yes. So do you think it's we should maybe lay off particular individuals and just I won't name anyone because I know I already asked you this question, but I'm trying to keep it general, so I'm not like targeting anyone in particular. But like, don't you think it'd be a good idea for us? For example, this is something that I struggle with. A lot of my audience is ethno-nationalist, and a lot of them are pro-Israel as well. I have that split, and that split exists on the right. I don't identify as an ethno-nationalist, but I also don't identify as a hardcore pro-Israel person either, because I see holes in both groups. But both groups aren't happy with that. One of them will call me, a Jew lover or something like that. The other group will call me, which doesn't bother me. And the other group will say, oh, you're not white nationalistic enough for us either, even though I never said I was one. So how do I unite with that when I don't agree with either point of view? But at the same time, we have so much that does unite us. So do you know what I mean? There's a struggle there, and so the right is broken, whereas the left you would think would be more broken, but they present a united front.
Well, look, my advice would be for you, and this is what I do.
Yeah.
I just promote the things that I believe in, and I don't really care whether people disagree with them or not. They're entitled to put forward their arguments. I'm interested in having a debate and understanding why they've got different views. But I don't write to please people. I don't write to
But as I said to you the other day, that someone did think you were writing to please the left. It's like you had to give this whole entire preamble before you just said, but this person has a right to express themselves. You couldn't have just said, leave him alone. You know what I mean?
You're talking about the article I wrote about Neil Erikson. That's what you're talking about.
That's it. You mentioned it, not me.
Let's talk about it. Look, Neil Erikson is a person who has publicly admitted to lying in order to affect an election outcome. And I just think that's completely contrary to everything that's
irrelevant to wearing a flag.
Yeah, but that article was defending his right to wear the flag. You go read the article. I wasn't saying he shouldn't be wearing the flag. I was saying that Neil Erikson is someone I disagree with. But the reason I wrote the article was because I think it's outrageous that the police arrested him, and the same that they arrested Avi Yemeni. I think that
Yes,
is
Arby
outrageous.
did nothing wrong. Arby did nothing wrong either. Neither of them did.
And I made that point. But I also made the
Yes, you
point
did.
that Neil is, I don't know what side Neil's on, but I'm on the side of truth, and he's a guy that's admitted that he lies in public to get headlines. I just don't think that is what I believe in. I don't understand why you do that, and I wanted to make that point very clear. Because also, I've never written about him before. I've avoided writing about him because I don't really like giving him publicity, to be honest.
Okay, that's fair enough. I understand what you're saying, and you're entitled to believe that. And it's nice. It's good that you defended his right to wear the flag and that what happened was ridiculous. But look, I think we all have different approaches and different methods, and sometimes our methods maybe you grow and you evolve throughout time. But he has a good heart, and I think that is evident. But you don't know that because you've not met him. But yeah,
When he apologises for lying, for instance, when he apologises, he's threatened people. I know he's threatened people. I just think it's completely unacceptable.
Well, I don't think that's true. But fair enough. We'll move off the topic. I didn't want to talk about that. I wanted to talk about the fact that the right. I kept it general. You specified. Yeah, exactly right. So you do believe that Australia, generally speaking, is devolving into some sort of madness because people are getting arrested for being patriotic. So you agree that there's something wrong in this country. We're becoming commie, for lack of a better word. How would you put it?
It's insanity. I mean, you couldn't make this stuff up. A man is arrested on Australia Day for wearing a flag in a public place. We'll go a bit further. We know why he was arrested. He was arrested because the police didn't want him around when the protest against the flag went marching through. So it's insanity. It's Australia Day, and a man is being arrested for wearing the flag. You could not make it up.
No, it's really, really ridiculous. I actually did an interview with what's his name, Gavin McInnes, on that very topic. Because it doesn't make sense. Like, it's not just happening in Australia. It happened in Canada on Canada Day. It was 4 different Proud Boys were arrested and told to leave because they wanted to celebrate Canada. I don't know when Canada Day is. I didn't even know they had a Canada Day, but yeah. So it's happening a lot in the Western world, and it's going to continue to happen, I think. It's going to get worse before it gets better.
Yeah, I think it is going to get worse before it gets better. There's that saying, the old saying, that those whom the gods wish to destroy, they first make insane. I don't know if I pronounced it, or if they first send them mad, make them mad. And we are, our society is in a state of chaos and madness.
It is. Here's a question. Do you like the Latin Mass, and have you been to one?
Yes, I go to Latin Mass every Sunday.
Oh, really?
Yes.
There you go. Guys, you can ask your questions now. I'm happy for you guys to start asking questions. Hang on, let's see if there's any more. Are you working on anything in particular right now?
I've got lots of things I'm working on, actually.
Oh, yeah? Did Bishop Williamson do anything wrong? I don't know who that is. Who's Bishop Williamson?
We're going off on rabbit hole tonight.
Who is that? Is he being a
Bishop
smartass?
Didn't do anything wrong. Well,
I don't know who that is. I don't know why you're smiling, but I'm assuming that's a cheeky question.
Well, he was, for those who aren't aware, he was one of the 4 bishops of the Society of St. Pius X. He was one of 4 bishops that Archbishop Marcel Lefebvre consecrated in 1988.
Okay.
And he left the society, I don't know, about 6 or 7 years ago, maybe. Maybe it was like 10 years ago. Look, this is my view to Philip. The day of the Society of St. Pius X, walking to Rome, is the day that you know the Society of St. Pius X is not part of the church.
Mm. Wendy, I mentioned earlier that I don't know if this is to you or to me. When you mentioned earlier that you have gay friends, yeah, do they know that you think that they're immoral? Of course they do. A lot of my friends are very well aware of my opinion on homosexuality, but they don't hate me because I'm kind to them. I'm not going to walk around telling them that they're going to go to hell, but if the subject comes up, of course I'm going to tell them that as a Christian, I don't think what they're doing is correct, but that I don't personally care. It's only because God cares that I care. My own opinion is, do what you want, but it's not going to get you salvation. There's any more questions, guys? Yeah, anyway, there's no more questions for now that I think are worth putting up. Oh, hang on, there's one here. Bernard, if you were given an Australia Day honour, would you accept it?
Well, I don't think it's ever going to happen. Of course, I'll accept it. I think that we should be looking as a nation to have a good, honest, and award system that recognises Australians who contribute to the nation. And if I was ever given one, then yes, I would accept it. So, yeah. and by that same token, I have not received my medals either. I've still got my medals.
Fair enough. Peter V, do you believe okay, Peter V, why did you have to ask a freaking Zionist question? Do you believe the notion that Zionism is affecting Western society via control of the media and promoting anti-Semitic blasphemy laws? I told you my audience was tricky. I told you this.
Well, look, my response is that there is truth and everything else is error. And you have lots of competing groups that don't have the truth, that are all pushing and promoting the errors, the various forms of errors that they have. And, so that's my view on that.
That's very general, but
the media. Look, the media
that's a good loophole. I like it.
The media has got lots of vested interest in it, and obviously, like there was just recently, there was that man from the I don't know, the Anti-Semitic League, whatever it's called, I can't remember, who came out and was very unhappy because a school in, I think, Melbourne, I can't remember where it was, had a Christmas message that I can't remember the exact words, but part of the Christmas message was that the leadership of the Jews pushed to crucify Jesus Christ. And this man from the Anti-Defamation League, I think it was called, he was very upset, and the schools had to apologise. And I think that's ridiculous, because the fact is, the Pharisees, the chief priests asked Christ directly if he was the Messiah, if he was God, essentially, and Christ answered yes, and so that's true. They pushed to have him crucified. They could not accept him as God. Now,
Jews get angry about that today.
Sorry?
Jews get angry about that today. Like they want that part of their history erased.
In the media just a couple of days ago. So look, I can understand why Jewish people who follow Jewish religion, might disagree with the biblical story of Christ's crucifixion.
Mm-hmm.
But that is the narrative. It is truthful to say that the narrative says that the hierarchy of the Jews pushed to crucify Christ, and I believe that narrative is true. And that's not to say that people like Pontius, for instance, weren't part of it as well. I mean, Pontius Pilate,
the Romans, yeah,
he represents all of us. He was a guy who accepted that Jesus Christ was innocent, and he still went ahead and said, okay, crucify him. So, I mean, it's not just the Jews that are responsible for this, and we're all responsible through our own faults and sins.
Yes,
anyway, the question
yes, your political career, military career, go ahead.
Yes,
unpack a little.
I joined the Army Reserve in 1997. I was an infantry soldier for about 18 months. I served at 9RQR up here in Queensland. And then I went down to ADFA and I joined the full-time Army, and I served full-time as an officer from 1999 until mid-2011. And first I was an engineering officer, then I became an intelligence officer. I deployed to Iraq on 3 occasions. I served a little bit of time in Afghanistan.
Wow.
I received
serving our country.
Oh, that's all right. I love my time in the army, apart from the ending. I received a meritorious service medal. Reached after full-time service. I left the army because of family commitments. So I went back into the reserves, and I was sacked from the reserves. So I served in the reserves again for another 18 months or 2 years or so until I was finally sacked. So that's my military career in a nutshell.
In a nutshell, for sure. It's a good career you have there. There's a good question here by Foreskin. Welcome back to my channel. I haven't seen you in a while, bro. Does Bernard support Australia moving the Israeli embassy to Jerusalem?
That is a very good question, and I actually don't have an answer because
take the safe position.
No, it's not a safe position. It's just I have actually not paid very much attention to this particular issue, and I don't have any firm view on it.
Fair enough. I know someone just sent me a super chat. Thank you for the $5, but it was deleted, so it must have been offensive. So someone must have deleted it. Sorry, guys. Okay, let me continue to go down and see what other awesome questions there are. I don't know what this means, but Bernard, as a Catholic, what do you think of E. Michael Jones?
Okay, so I'm not 100% sure who E. Michael Jones is.
Yeah, okay, cool. That's fine.
So,
it's all right. Let's just go down. Okay, this is a really stupid question. Do you know who these people are? Do you know who David Hollis is and who Sue Monroe is? And Tom Tanuki?
I've never heard of any of them.
The question is, Tom Tanuki, David Hollis, Sue Monroe, have sex with one, marry one, kill one. Go. Oh, sorry.
I'll pass that question.
Yeah, I think you should pass, but one of them is a murderer. One of them is the head of Antifa, and the other one is a lefty writer. It's a funny question. You're an idiot, Versace Cowboy. That's so funny. So inappropriate, but still funny. All right. Hang on. Let's. Yeah, is interviewing some interesting guests. Yes, I am.
And keep up the good work.
Thank you. Do you want me to post my question again? Oh, I thought yeah. If you have a question that I've accidentally ignored, put it back up. Yes, please. Anxious Aussie. Has all of Bernard's drama been caused by the rainbow branch of the globalist mob, or has his position on tradition and religion, etc., seen other groups cause him issues? Oh, you sort of answered this question earlier. It was predominantly the LGBTQ plus, and did you want to answer? I'll stop talking.
Well, look, I mean, I've written a lot about Islam, for instance.
Oh, okay.
And I have not received much. Well, I've received very little hate mail in relation to that issue. The rainbow activists are at the moment causing a lot of, I'll call it political persecution of Christians in Australia.
Yeah.
You know, and I've written a lot about Islam, especially in relation to terrorism and the threat I believe it poses to our culture and society. One thing that we could be grateful for is that the Islamic activists have kind of put their attention into terrorism, and not many of them have put their attention into the political type persecutions and court cases, etc., which I think we can be grateful for to a certain extent, because terrorism is very dangerous and causes problems, but it means that segment of Islamic activists have largely been identifiable and targetable by law enforcement.
Hmm. I have two questions from the same person. This one is, Nard, what is your position on self-defense in Australia for the individual citizen? Good question, Jason. Love that.
Look, I believe that individuals should be able to defend themselves. And
With a gun?
well, they should be able
Taser?
to defend themselves. Sorry?
Bug spray? Here in Victoria, women, or I don't know about men, but women in general can't even have a baseball bat next to them when they're walking the street going for a walk. Like any form of self-defense, unless it's your own body, is illegal in Victoria. I don't know about Queensland.
No, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the law is in Victoria, but I believe the principle that people should be entitled to defend themselves.
Absolutely.
So I know I haven't focused too much on this issue, but you do hear stories every now and again that make you raise your eyebrows about people being charged for taking action to defend themselves. But I think they should be able to.
Should Australia have a Bill of Rights? I know
No.
you're not asking. You don't reckon? Why?
No.
Tell me.
No.
Why?
Because this is one of the problems we have at the moment is a lack of understanding of the rights that we already have, and a Bill of Rights is not going to. A Bill of Rights is only going to erode the common law rights that we already have and that already exist, which we don't defend well enough already. Plus, it will enable activist judges to essentially determine the Bill of Rights for themselves personally that affect the rest of us. I mean, a Bill of Rights, in fact, I'll put it this way, anti-discrimination law, and a Bill of Rights is basically the king of anti-discrimination law, is the pits. It is destroying our society. We need to get away from special laws for special people. We need to get away, especially from this concept of a Bill of Rights where judges get to decide what special laws apply to special people. We need to go back to the common law protections that we already have, and we need to start defending those properly. A Bill of Rights is going to make our life much worse.
Okay, interesting concept. Okay, that's good to know. I'm doing a diploma in political science, and so if that question comes up, I hope I remember what you just said there, because that'd be a good response. I'm sorry, guys. I know I keep coughing and stuff. It's annoying you guys. Let's go to Watchmen Project. Question: do you believe that the end time deception is alien/demon deception or transhuman immortality? Well, I don't know what you mean by that, dude, but if you mean like does this all descend from Satan and that like comes all of the things that are happening now is from like a demonic evil presence, I'm gonna say yes. I don't know what the other stuff means though. And Dia, would you have me on your show? I don't know you, dude. Maybe. Do you have a response to that at all?
I don't know what the end time deception is. I don't believe in aliens, transhuman immortality. So
I don't know what that is. Yeah,
I've
but
never
do you
been asked a
believe that
question
there's
like
a Satan?
Yes.
Yeah. That's sort of my response. I'm like, I don't know what that means, but yeah. Let's have a look. Oh, this is not a question, but it's the $5. Margot is ruining the chat. She's out of control. She's not ruining the chat. She's moderating it. So if you guys are going to say stupid things, she's going to delete the stupid things you say. Margot.
There is a question here about Sharia law.
Oh, let me go down. Where is it?
The Cowboy.
The Versace Cowboy. He's such a good boy. All right, hang on. Here we go. Do you think Sharia communities will ever be pushed in Australia with options for Sharia law? Ooh, answer that.
Well,
That's a good question.
The answer to that is yes, and I think we're already seeing communities like this established through kind of places like Lakemba.
Yes, Lauren Southern.
And, you know, people say, oh, yeah, but Sharia law is not enacted in law. Well, that's true, but if the whole of that suburb or that local government area is Islamic, then basically they'll do whatever they want anyway. And just on this Sharia law topic, I think people need to be very careful about about this proposed Religious Discrimination Act, which I completely oppose. It will be disgraceful. It will destroy Christianity in Australia, despite it being promoted as a protection for Christianity. Will not do that. But what the Religious Discrimination Act will do is protect Islam, and not just Islam, it will protect other non-Christian religions as well. I just make the point that the very first religion protected under the ACT's religious vilification law, which came in, I think, in 2016, was a satanic cult. So these laws are not going to protect Christianity. They will protect
every other religion but
that undermine Australian culture and society, including Islam. So I'm opposed to the Religious Discrimination Bill as well.
Yeah, I think I am too. I'm not really sure. I was watching, do you know Martin Miles?
Yes.
I was watching him on the subject, and I found that very interesting, and he pretty much said something similar to you.
The discrimination bill is going to be all sorts of bad news.
Yeah. Neil Erickson, I do not have the coronavirus. I'm getting over a cold. Anyway. There was a question I saw further up. Oh, this is not the one I saw, but it just disappeared. Oh, that's not the one. Do you think we will have Muslim no-go zones? Yes, I do. What do you think?
Well, again, I think we're seeing some of these already. So
yeah,
I think with Lauren Southern, who was told by the police not to walk down Lakemba. Now, you know, she was in Lakemba, so it wasn't a complete no-go zone. But we're seeing parts of Australia where normal Australian lifestyle is being eradicated, and it could very well end up the same way.
Sure. Okay, I'm going back up because how can we support you? You answer that question. I'm just going to get some water. I really need it. I'm so sorry.
Well, thank you for that question. I've got a website, bernardgaynor.com.au, where I write, although I haven't been writing as frequently as I'd like. But there are donation options there, so which are gratefully accepted. And for those who are interested, I will be back in court on the 24th of February in relation to the anti-discrimination complaints that are still active against me, or lodged by one single homosexual activist in New South Wales.
Maybe send me the link after, so that once this is up officially,
Sure,
no longer live, I can have people click on the description box below so that they can support you. I'm pretty sure I added your website though.
Okay, thank you very much.
Oh, that's okay. That's the point of this stuff. Idiot, I don't have coronas. You need to be exposed to like China. Let's have a look. Bill Bernard, get the sniffles. Oh, shut up! I'm not that sick. I'm coughing a little bit. Gosh, I'm sorry, everyone. I know it's annoying, but hey, the show must go on. Which court? Is that in relation to something you said when I walked away?
That's the New South Wales Court of Appeal.
Oh, okay.
So that's where I'll be on the 24th of February.
Are you representing yourself? Do you have a nice team of lawyers?
No, I've got a solicitor and a barrister who have been looking after me since 2013. I'm very happy.
Lovely. That's good. Now, do you spend too much time in court?
I spend a lot more time in court than I ever plan to or wish to.
How annoying.
And, it is a constant battle to keep going back, but you've got to do it.
Definitely. I agree. That's the only way to fight. Like, we have to protect our livelihoods by going to court. It's ridiculous. Whereas at left, you can just get away with whatever they want. What
yes.
bishop? Yeah, sorry. Finish.
Good question, Brendan. So there is for the Catholics who are avidly watching this, I can obviously tell there's a few. The Implementation Advisory Group was established by the Australian Catholic Bishops' Conference to oversee and review church governance, and that's got bad news written all over it. It is holding a church governance symposium on the 2nd of March, I believe. It is going to be held in the Sydney Masonic Centre. So if you're Catholic, you will understand why that should raise all sorts of eyebrows, because it should not be held in that building. There is a question here about Ben Roberts-Smith by Terry Neeson, which I would like to answer.
Let me pop it up on the screen. What's the name of the person?
Terry Neeson, 822.
Terry Neeson. Okay, let me just go up. Oh, you start answering it while I try to find it.
Yeah, so I'm actually not sure where this is up to, but obviously Sydney Morning Herald and ABC have run a number of stories alleging that Ben Roberts murdered people unlawfully in Afghanistan, and Ben Roberts-Smith is suing them for defamation. Personally, I hope Ben Roberts-Smith takes them to the cleaners. I think it is absolutely disgraceful what has happened. But the bigger question I have about all of this is, what were the senior officers doing about all the rumours and allegations that apparently have been floating around since 2010? I mean, for crying out loud, our Chief of Defence Force has ordered an inquiry to determine what they should do with these allegations. It is beyond a joke. For those who understand the military, if a soldier doesn't turn up to work, it is AWOL, or he executes someone overseas, it is the same process. They are charged with breaking out what to do with the allegations. You follow them up, and if there's evidence, you charge somebody. I think the whole process against Ben Roberts-Smith has been disgraceful. I think it's been...
I don't know if this is to you, Anxious Ozzy. How do we get around the other discrimination acts which allow people to attack Christians for their beliefs? Example, Israel Folau or old Mr. Sunol. That's a good question.
Well, I don't know if we can get around them. We need to, in my perfect world, the government would repeal all the anti-discrimination legislation. The state governments would do it. The Commonwealth government would do it. Then they get a bulldozer and they'd knock down the buildings that house the New South Wales Anti-Discrimination Board and the Australian Human Rights Commission. And then they would sow salt in the ground so nothing ever grew there again. And they would put signs up as monuments to the stupidity of Australian society in the early part of this century. But look, the only way we can get around it is through, at this stage, through political action and getting people elected into Parliament who have got the courage to actually repeal these laws. Because at the moment, the Conservatives in politics, they're just, I mean, I don't want to put a brush over all of them, but in general, the coalition governments never, ever turned back the social policies of Labor and the Greens. So, for instance, abortion comes in under Labor or even under the Liberal Party, and then after an election, the Conservatives never try and push back, never try and repeal it. They never try and repeal these anti-discrimination laws. We've got to start having politicians with a bit of courage and a bit of guts to remove these laws. They're bad laws, and they're destroying Australian cohesion and Australian society.
What is your opinion on the Masons? I think he means Freemasons.
Sure. Well, my opinion is a Catholic opinion, which is that the Masons are not to be accepted. And I'll tell you why that is. It's not to do with all this conspiracy theory stuff. At the end of the day, the Masons believe that every religion is a source or a path to heaven. And that is just not true.
No, that's not true.
That ideology, which is the basis for things like the Racial Discrimination Act and the Sex Discrimination Act and all these other anti-discrimination laws, they're all based on this ideology that all ideas are equal and worthy of protection. And they're not. Some ideas are bad ideas and they should not be protected.
Absolutely true. Do you realise that the Catholic Church works the Bible talks about like the end of the world and how like one major religion will assist the Antichrist, and unfortunately, it's a religion that you're a part of.
Well, we can have a discussion about this.
Sorry, I said it with such a. I was being such a bitch when I said it, and you just smiled. I'm sorry.
At the end of the day, there's no point having a debate about Catholicism versus the other Christian denominations until people get their heads around where the Bible came from and where church authority comes from. Because, I mean, essentially, to make me stop being a Catholic, you would have to not only convince me that the church hierarchy as established by Christ was not established by Christ, but that your authority to establish whatever hierarchy you're promoting was established by Christ. And it's impossible because the only Christian church with a line of succession that goes back to Christ is a Catholic church.
I understand. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I have a different question. I do want to go back to that just in just a second. I wanted to find out whether what your thoughts are on the Liberal Party, because the Liberal Party to me is soft. I don't know whether you know the story, but apparently my attendance at a Liberal Party function in Melbourne, caused great strife, and I somehow dismantled the whole party by my sheer appearance because I'm so far right and ooh, scary me. But what are your thoughts on the Liberal Party at large? I've done several videos on them, and I've realised that they are fake conservatives because they implemented abortion. They gave us gay marriage, so pretty shitty conservatives. What are your thoughts?
Well, look, I would say that a lot of the politicians inside the Liberal Party are fake conservatives. I mean, you've got people like, who's the guy from North Sydney? You've got Trevor Evans up here in Brisbane. You've got Trent Zimmerman. You've got...
Oh, I don't know people. Let me find out later.
Wilson, even I mean, these guys all put Malcolm Turnbull in. Even I'd say Scott Morrison, who is a lot better than Turnbull.
Definitely better, yeah.
Or Bill Shorten. But even he is not really conservative. I mean, this whole idea of this Religious Discrimination Act is not an idea that anyone with any common sense and conservative blood in their veins would push, but our conservatives are pushing it. It's a bad idea. So I'm not a fan of a lot of the politicians, but I have spent 10 years, give or take, pushing the barrow for various minor parties, and it just doesn't work. Minor parties don't work. So my advice to anybody...
Don't say that! Sad!
My advice... they don't work.
Oh.
So, I wish they did, but they don't.
What if everyone voted for the one party? My obsession at the moment is Ricardo Bossi, All Australian Party. I feel like every single conservative Australian...
I know Ricardo, and I think that all their hearts are in the right places, but they would have far more effect if they all joined the Liberal Party.
The Liberal Party is so shit.
Join it because you're frustrated by it. Don't join it because you like it. You're not joining it because you think it's perfect. You're joining it because you want to change it.
You're talking about numbers. Like, let's overthrow the lefties in there and the fake conservatives in there and bring it back up to...
Politics is a numbers game.
Yes.
And you don't get the numbers in minor parties. It took me 10 years to work this out, but that's the truth.
What did you think of Fraser Anning?
Look, Fraser Anning was pretty good. I like Fraser Anning.
Yeah.
I think he made some mistakes, which didn't help him. But I thought he campaigned quite well, and I was quite supportive of him. I think he was very unfairly treated by the media. And I thought he did about as well as he was going, as he could have hoped to have done at the last election. But again, I make the point, if all the people who supported Fraser Anning were in the Liberal Party, they would actually be able to elect someone that would get elected to Parliament. But they supported a guy who was never going to get elected to Parliament. I ran around Queensland for almost a year trying to get people to vote for me. But if all that time and effort had gone into getting good people into the Liberal Party, we actually probably would have been able to put someone in safe seats that would be able to sit in Parliament now and make some changes.
No, I understand what you're saying. I just think we need to build up a new party, but what you're saying does make sense. What does Bernard think of third position ideology? What does that mean, dude?
I don't know.
Yeah. People sometimes ask questions assuming we know. Yep, Harry Neeson. Oh, I now see this person. Ah, they disappeared. Oh, no, there it is. Never mind. Sorry. Do you agree that the current Pope Francis seems to be leaning heavily? The current Pope is a piece of shit. But yeah, you go. Answer the question. It's to you. So go ahead.
Well, I wouldn't call him that, but the current Pope is causing all sorts of problems because he is promoting ideas that are not Catholic, or he is speaking ambiguously, which is allowing people to interpret those ideas in anti-Catholic ways, and it is going to cause an enormous amount of destruction within the church.
It's probably the false prophet that the Bible... Oh, I don't know. He's probably not. Let's have a look. Didn't the Vatican assist Nazi war criminals? Oh, I don't know. Might have. Jason, join the Libs. They'll only put through lefty policies, abortion, and bow down to independence. If minor parties don't work, why is Jackie Lambie a fairly important person in the federal parliament?
Well, look, Jackie Lambie doesn't run parliaments. She's got one vote. My point is that, look, she can have some impact. You know, I will say this. I think Malcolm Roberts is doing a great job. I think some of the One Nation guys are doing a great job. In Queensland, you've got Katter's Australian Party, and I think they're doing a pretty good job on some of these issues. But at the end of the day, if all the time and effort that went into running minor parties that get a fraction of the votes, that don't have infrastructure, you can't pay staff to organise things properly. If you put all that time and effort into getting people into a party that could get people elected, I think we'd have a much better result. And I know there's a lot of comments coming through from people who don't like this point of view, but we've got a choice. We can run around and start our minor parties and resurrect minor parties and amalgamate minor parties. So we're blue in the face and we die, and get one or two people in parliament, or maybe get a bit of attention. I saw a comment, I don't understand pivot politics. Well, I do. I understand that. But at the end of the day, if you want to achieve something solid and make changes, you've got to look at the most effective way of doing it. And the most effective way of doing it is either the Liberal Party or the Labor Party. And the Labor Party is controlled by the unions, and you have to put a lot more effort into changing the Labor Party's direction. So the Liberal Party is the one that people should start looking at.
Well, that's fair. Apparently, that most of the people who supported Anning were kicked out of the Liberal Party. If that's the case?
Well, I don't know if that's the case. It might be the case. I'm not saying the Liberal Party's perfect. I'm not saying...
Of course not. I don't think anyone would ever say that in history.
I'm not saying that, if everyone does this by June next year, we'll be able to put our flag on top of the hill and say, we've won. It's just not the case. It's going to be long, hard slog, but it's a more effective way of doing it than starting a minor party. I've been doing it. It does not work.
No, this was one of my guests a few weeks ago. He's a climate change denier, Stephen Wells. He wrote a book. He's funny. He's a good guy. If all the people who supported Fraser Anning joined the Liberal Party, would be thrown out of the Liberal Party.
Yeah, we do. I'm not saying it's going to be easy.
No, they obviously think it's a click of the fingers. What you're saying.
What I am saying is that there are conservatives inside the Liberal Party, and they are fighting battles. And they need support. And so we need to try and get as many people in there to support them as possible. Not everyone's going to be able to get... I haven't joined because my membership won't be accepted. I know that. But if I could go back 10 years...
I won't join.
Do things differently.
Your Pope is pushing a one world religion. Do you agree with that?
Well, he should be pushing one world religion. It's called the Catholic religion. But I think...
Only way to heaven is through Christ, not Mary.
Christ established his religion. So, um,
I believe in a one world religion. I have no issue with that. What I don't like is globalism and there being a one world government.
I think the comment
everyone
is
should
that
come to Christ.
he is pushing a one world religion that is not true, and I don't know what the Pope's doing. He's doing lots of things that are problematic. I don't know why he's doing it.
The Pope
That's
Catholic?
a very good
No.
question. It's a very good question.
He's a Satan worshipper, probably. Versace cowboy. Anning was the most uninformed politician I ever heard speak. Don't be mean. He just didn't sound articulate, but he was shut up. I don't know how to respond to that. What do you think?
Well,
it's like Pauline Hanson, right?
Pauline
Hanson is smart. She sounds dumb. She's not dumb. She just doesn't sound confident, and neither did he. He sounded a little dopey. He knew what he was talking about. He just happened to sound dopey. That's not his fault. Sometimes people.
I thought Fraser Anning did a pretty good job.
Same.
But it's impossible he was never going to keep his seat. And that's the reality of minor parties.
All right, let's see if there are any other good questions left. If not, we'll probably leave it there. But let me just make sure I don't make anyone miss a. I don't want to like you guys to miss a chance to ask a question because. And by the way, guys, I got 45 viewers today. You guys must really love Mr. Gaynor. So thanks for tuning in. Let's have a look. Sudanese are enriching us. Who doesn't enjoy a violent home invasion? It's only a particular group of Sudanese. It's not all of them. Relax. Well, no, don't relax. But yeah. What do you think about that? What do you think about letting in? Now, this is a strange question coming from me because I am the daughter of immigrants. But what do you think about letting in immigrants into this country, particularly people who are not Western? Because I think it's a problem, and I'm saying that as the daughter of immigrants.
Yeah, well, most Australians have come from immigrant backgrounds. Our nation's been built on immigration. I mean, I am not against immigration. What I'm in favour of is, I'm in favour of immigration that is controlled and that is in the best interest of our nation. So there are plenty of people who would make Australia a better place. And they would come from places like Europe, America, Western civilization. And that's where we should be getting the majority of our immigrants from. You know, the world is the most multicultural place that there is.
Well, obviously, the world is the world.
It's a pretty violent place. So I don't understand this whole fascination with multiculturalism. Civic nationalism versus ethno-nationalism.
What are your thoughts? So I'm in between. Yeah, it's gone funny, hasn't it?
The word nation gets its Latin root from birth. So a nation is a collection of families. So by definition, a nation has some ethnic theme running through it. But you know, we can have people from other cultures and things like that come to Australia, but it needs to be from cultures that can integrate and benefit our nation. And so I just one other thing I'd say. So one other thing I'd say on immigration is that there is a real question about the numbers that are coming in. So
too many. We can't hold it. Our infrastructure can't support it anymore.
And
let's deport something.
Our own society is having trouble reproducing. I mean, you look at the abortion rates.
Yeah.
It's really quite terrible. But if we were having our own children, then this whole immigration debate would potentially be something we don't really need to focus on so much.
You know what's funny? I'm releasing a video this week called "Dear White Nationalists," and I raised that very point that if white nationalists don't want the multiculturalism that is now existing in this country that seems to be taking over, which I agree with them on that point, have more babies, like, produce, do what you're doing. You're a good Catholic. You have 8 kids, like, if white people want to keep Australia dominantly white, okay, then do that. Start having more babies. But instead, feminism takes over and women are aborting their children for their careers and for convenience. It's disgusting.
Yep. Anyway, this is 1 hour and 20 minutes, and I better head home very shortly.
Okay, no worries. I know. Guys, he has a family to go home to. I don't think he's been home for a while. Oh, wait, before I go, I'll know who Kathy Clubb is?
Yes, I do know who Kathy is.
Well, she says that you're a national hero and that you have great taste. I have great taste in guests. Well, it's because you've been on my show too, Kathy.
Well, Kathy is a national hero.
She
is. For those who don't know, she's been all the way to the High Court.
She has. She's a great woman.
To protect children. And
yes.
I'm not sure when her latest hearing is coming down, but Kathy is a national hero.
You both are. Stop arguing, both of you. You're both fabulous. So hang on. Every doctor we take out of a third world country equals one less doctor in that country that needs more than us. So isn't immigration white capitalism anyway? That's a good point, I suppose. But we're not going to get into any more points because you have to go. You have children to see and to put to bed and to read Bible stories too before they go to sleep, which is what my mum used to do when I was little, because my mum used to be Catholic, by the way. All right. Thanks, guys, for watching. Bernard, do you have anything you want to say before you go?
No, thank you for the invitation for the interview, Dia, and keep up the great work.
Oh, thank you so much, and I hope to meet you one day. I'll head to Queensland. I was there not too long ago, but I hope to head back up there soon.
Everyone should come to Queensland. It's a great place.
Absolutely. Best state there is. All right. So if you want to leave discussion, you just go to leave studio. Okay. I'll stay on for a little bit longer.
And so I just thank you to everybody who asked questions, and for all those who've been supporting me. I could not have kept going without your assistance. It's very gratefully accepted, and all the best.
Hey. Oh, he was nice. Good guy. Very nice person. Hey, Kathy Clubb. I'm going to get you back on my channel, Kathy, so we can talk about your what's happening with all the abortion stuff and all the no-go zones. I don't think I'll stay on for too long. If anyone has any questions, go for it. But otherwise, I'll just go because I think I need to. Apparently, I have the coronavirus. Great interview. Thank you. I did my best. I try not to be. Hi, Kathy. I'll see you soon, hopefully. We have very similar events in common. Have children already? I'm working on it. Don't talk to me. Talk to him. Let's see. Immigration is meant to bring the New World Order faster and can't reproduce when multiculturalism is making all the babies. Well, yeah, obviously. Unfortunately, that's a fact. Oh my gosh, I didn't mean to click that. This is the one I wanted to click. Sorry, how do we ask questions? By writing in the comment section and me clicking it. I do not have coronavirus. No, I don't. I have a cold. See? This is what I've been taking to get rid of it. It could be a lot worse. Is Corona the small town in Colombia you are from? No, but that's funny. I tried to sing in my car the other day just to see how many notes I could hit, because when I was really young, I used to be able to hit all these really high notes. And my cold has really like affected my ability to hit the higher notes. Thanks for your presentation tonight, dear. I enjoyed it after stumbling onto it, and will keep my eye out for the next one. Thanks. My guest next week, everyone, it will be Hogatha, but it won't be Hogatha as Hogatha. It'll be Hogatha as Billy. Billy is my guest next week. Yay! So for those who don't know who Billy is, or who Hogatha is, or who Kitty is, this person has been made relatively well known lately because Kitty Demure, one of the characters that Billy plays, Kitty Demure is a conservative drag queen, and he said in a post, "What the hell has drag queens done for you parents to want your children to be exposed to drag queen story time?" So Paul Joseph Watson and what's the name of the other? Paul Joseph Watson and Cauldron Pool. So these two major conservative forums have been promoting my friend, who I knew before they started circulating him. So it's really funny when you're in this YouTube space and you're friends with people who then become well known, and it's like, I knew that person. So for those who don't know what I'm talking about, Hogatha is a person who I interviewed several months back, and and that was one of my most viewed live interviews. Hogatha is a person who, she's like this big fat lefty. It's really funny. So look through my playlist and find Hogatha. It's a really good interview. I'm sorry, guys. I know my throat is really turning a lot of you off. Yeah, Bluebeard. Bluebeard is Hogatha. But next week I'm interviewing someone like that. I'll be here next week. What's the best way to contact the Senator Slayer? I would recommend you go to his Gab or his email. His email address is, I think, neil@neilerickson.com.au. neil@neilerickson.com.au. I think. You better check your door, dear. Make sure the CCP didn't weld you in. I'm not super sick. I was just at my boyfriend's house last night. I'm not that sick. I'm not sick. My throat doesn't hurt at all. It's just a cough. Who's my boyfriend? He's a sailor. Let's crowdfund a box for Dia to be sent away. Yes, I would really love a nice coffin with brass handles. I would love a beautiful coffin. So please, everyone, do a crowdfund for me and I can have a beautiful coffin. Yes, I do have a boyfriend. A steel box. Play on words, steel, Steele, the guy who's allegedly my boyfriend. Just trying to find a comment. Oh crap! Comments from my boyfriend are gone. I can't put them up on the screen. I was going to show you guys who my boyfriend was, but his comments are no longer there for me to put him up on the screen. Disappointing. All right, let's see what other things you guys are writing. So I'm going all the way back down again. My favorite Colombian soccer player. I have no idea who any soccer player is. At 48 hours to live, what do you do? Read the Bible and have sex for the first time. Kwaku. No, I've already told you guys. Kwaku dated one of my friends. You don't date your friend's exes. You would not do my eulogy. My sister would do the eulogy, not you. And maybe my boyfriend. Let's see what other things you guys are saying. Every time I want to click on a comment, a freaking Neil comment comes up. I don't even mean to click it. Yeah, that's the one I meant to click. Will Billy be sending out the nappies to Peter Grace? I think he will. I don't know. That wouldn't bother me. I wouldn't mind going out with a nice Jewish boy, but I already have a boyfriend though, so. And my boyfriend is not Jewish. Let's book him in for Wednesday. Who? My boyfriend? Or who are you talking about? What would you say, Neil? Good idea, Senator Slayer. Bluebeard. Oh, Bluebeard. No. He's become quite. I'm not going to talk about him. I don't want to say the wrong thing. Dia prefers cut what? Cut penises? Who's the boyfriend? I don't know. He's not here. I would put up one of his comments if he commented. I'm not gonna. Check me out, dear. I'll be your crazy deep info guest. Wake some people and cause a ruckus. I don't know who you are, Watchmen Project. I'm happy to check out your channel and see what you're about, though. Wolfie, you had the chance. Oh, no, you didn't. You didn't have the chance. He wasn't ever coming with. Never mind. Is this better than Sputnik? You Sputnik? Look what's sitting right next to me. Good old-fashioned videotapes. If I watch this tonight, a girl will come out of the TV in 7 days. Don't worry, dear. We are happy for you and your invisible boyfriend. My invisible boyfriend, he's not invisible. He's the Versace cowboy. Greetings from Netherlands. Hello, I've been to the Netherlands. Been all over Europe. What's the video? What video? Okay. There's no real substance to your comments anymore, guys. No offense. And I want to go for a walk around the block just so that my back isn't in pain when I go to sleep tonight. No, he's not. But if he was, I'd just say he was. He's not. I don't know what's on it. It's blank. Canada. It says Canada. It says Canada. So it must be a movie from Canada. I don't know. And then there's another one here. This one is probably the ring girl. The girl who comes out of the well into your TV. Gonna go pick up some supplies after the... Dude, I already said who my boyfriend was. If it was Avi, I would say so, but it's obviously not. No one's listening to me. My boyfriend's name, no. His name is not going to be public. I told you the name he goes by online. If that's not good enough, then oh well. Anyway, I'm going to go now. I'm sitting under the air conditioner, and because my room is really hot, but like I had slept with Margot before I became racially aware. Don't be disrespectful about my friend Margot. All right. I don't have the coronavirus. Anyway, yeah, so stay tuned. Thank you for paying attention. Tune in next week, guys, when I have Billy. Billy plays Kitty Demure, and he also plays Hogartha, someone who I brought to Australia, and I'm quite happy with the reaction that people had from him. The hate that I got from how mean I was to Hogartha, to the praise that I got for being mean to Hogartha. I happen to know that some people thought I didn't know that Hogartha was actually an act. That's hilarious. That means that my acting was really good. The idiots that thought I didn't know that Hogartha was an actor is hilarious to me. But what was even more funny was that the left took so long to figure it out. They're so stupid. Anyway, I'm pretty sure my throat is really disgusting a lot of people, so I am going to go and go for a walk around the block and do some exercise so that my back doesn't hurt when I go to sleep. Anyway, and possibly work on an assignment. All right, guys, I love you all. God bless you all. Be kind to your enemies. Try to. This is the biblical way. Dia's boyfriend is Maddie Rose. No, Maddie Rose is married to a Colombian woman. I am not married. And I wouldn't marry someone that looks like Jabba the Hutt. No, no kidding. That's mean. I love Maddie. Although he does piss me off sometimes. Watch out for Tim Williams is her boyfriend. No, he's not. Okay. All right. I'm going to go. Sorry. No, it's taking me ages. End broadcast. Next week, 8:30. Tomorrow, the Uncuckables, guys. Go tune in for the Uncuckables tomorrow.